Render unto Caesar, bitches. It's number 7. This is fun because we talk about a huge mistranslation.
Blasphemy!
Of the Bible.
Shut your dirty mouth.
A passage you're familiar with, passage I'm familiar with, a passage every church in America uses to talk about paying taxes, tithes, and things that make you more American. Yeah, they fucked it all up. It's totally wrong. Isn't that weird?
Not really.
Isn't that weird?
Not really.
Jesus wasn't white. Well, let's talk about it, shall we? Come with me.
Okay, we're good. Fuck it. Oh my God.
dog.
Wow, that was like giving birth to a Zoom.
Jesus Christ, for real.
You see this? Oh, what about this? Oh,
It's the best.
I don't feel like Satan, but I am to them. So I keep on conquering any way I can. Keep on rocking in the free world. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Since we spoke last,
Yeah.
I played a show.
How was it?
It was fucking crazy. It was amazing. So I do this conspicuous cover band thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's not, we go out of our way to say it's not a tribute band.
Okay.
It's an experience. I'm not sure what the difference is other than our egos and my whatever, but we do the first 2 Fleetwood Mac records with Stevie and Lindsay.
That's fucking sick.
And it's really about the vocals. It's like we've got these amazing vocalists, and so we look around to see what material we can utilize them best in. And this was the first one was we did Goodbye Yellow Brick Road start to finish.
Okay.
And then we did this one. And the first time we only did it one night, the Elton John thing, and it sold out. And then we didn't really have anything else planned, and so we never did it again. I was like, oh shit, that was a lot of work for one room that held like 100 people in it. And so the second time we did 2 nights and sold those out, and we're like, now let's rethink this. Maybe we should move it to a bigger venue. And so and then the end of the world happened. So we were like, okay, but It's really fun, and these people are all really, really good players, and so it feels less conspicuous to be in a cover band.
Sure.
Because that's what it
good.
is. Because it's really good.
Yeah.
And I love the people that are in it, and I've almost never been in a project that had 0 drama. You know, there's always something.
Yeah.
And there just isn't, which is great. But I had this really weird thing in a couple of songs where, the drummer keeps the ship steady, right?
For real.
It's like my job while in real time is to look at everybody on stage and make sure there's no stink eyes. Nobody's like on their way to having a problem. You know what I mean? Like nobody's like, no cannons are rolling around loose on the deck. And so like I'm in the middle of one of these songs, and my wife said she's never seen me so relaxed before. Oh. And I was like, yeah, it was just not, I wasn't even playing my drums. It was a back line. But I was just like, no, this is I got this. It was no, I don't know. It was weird. It was almost like
a flow state thing.
I guess so. And the tempos were like record tempos and not like live, like they were
record tempos.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And one of the, because I have my little app on my phone that pulses the light so I can see,
cool.
I started at the, there's not clicking, but the light, it gives you the boop, whatever. And there were a couple of times in the set where, like, I'm looking around, like I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling like I'm plotting, like I'm like just in molasses, like I'm like, this must seem really strange to everybody else. And I'm looking around and nobody on the stage is giving me stink eyes. Everybody's like, just guitar face, rock face, just into it. And the whole crowd is dancing. So I'm like, okay, the crowd is still swaying, but I'm just like, and I'm kind of like, look, like, what am I doing? Yeah. What is this thing I'm doing? And it was like, it was kind of like the Matrix where he first realizes he can move fast and he sees that punch go by his face.
Yeah.
It was like that shit where I'm like, what am I? How can anybody but I kept looking and people were dancing, and that's the main thing. It's like if people stop dancing, then it's like it's because the beat's going, and they didn't. It was just the fucking weirdest thing I'd ever been a part of. Where I'm just like doop dup doop dup doop dup doop dup. What is it? Why am I up? Why am I sitting here? What are we doing? It was the weirdest thing.
Spirituality.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that's flow state, right? Where you're like not really there, like it's happening. And how it's happening, unfolding is perfect, but you don't seem to have any control over that fact.
That's
It's
like I was separate from it. Like my brain, my body was doing something. My brain was like forgot it could do, or like forgot why it would do it, or forgot why it learned to do that. It was really, really. I've never experienced that before.
I'm fucking addicted to that shit, and I'm so woo woo that I can't talk about it much. But have you?
So what? So I've heard that term before, but I've never. It's really scary to think that I've been playing for 100 years and never felt it before.
When do people not dance when you play drums? Come on, that's the biggest compliment ever.
No, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I've never felt so out of body about it.
Yeah,
like so removed from I was literally looking at my hand, going, if my brain was in charge, I would be speeding up because I get excited. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I couldn't even. And I was telling my wife this other thing is the only time that I've ever felt even remotely close to that was I used to do this thing when I lived in California with Miko Watanabe, the bass player who played on she did the Gwen Stefani tour.
Yeah. Was it Dave Navarro or something like that too?
She played with him also. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then Eric Richards, who was from here, and we had a band called Black Chihuahua. And we would get really fucked up at rehearsal sometimes, like bottle of Jack, a case of beer, a handful of pills,
Shit, yeah.
And we just and it would go like this, and then it would go.
Oh, totally.
But there were times I got this one time on recording, and he recorded everything. So I've got this one time we're recording where I remember I was so pegged on pills and booze, I couldn't get on top of the beat.
Oh yeah.
I could not. I was trying. I was like, I was trying to, and I just couldn't. I was so in the bag that I couldn't. And I remember thinking, I cannot hit the one. I'm hitting like four and 7/8 at best, or three and 7/8 is the closest I'm getting to one, and most of it's like 3 3/4. I'm like,
it just like keeps moving every time you try to grab it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, everything is bah. You're like, oh, I'm on the 2 again. Damn it.
Was a flow state happening before that though? Before you lost the coherency?
No. Well, I don't remember it. I don't remember it as that. I just remember thinking, whoa, I'm behind. I can't get ahead. But it was that where it's like I don't really have control. Like I'm not. My body's doing something my brain has not lost control, but has relinquished or like it's just separated from.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I think isn't that just like? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
You didn't? No.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah, because that was that happened a lot. Luckily, like you mentioned, like that crazy emo band I was in, basically. Yeah,
right.
It was all the Vendettas. Yeah, it was mostly about fucking. We wanted to have like the coolest. We wanted it to be like a monster truck show, when you came and saw us live. But like, then that doesn't hit. But when it does hit.
Oh, we were totally talking about that. Yeah, that thing where you have to for the first couple songs, you might be acting because you got to get that adrenaline going.
Or maybe you just hit the first fucking note and 5 human beings are all somehow out of their bodies instantly. Like the intro music has ended, the first note hits, and all 5 of you do it fucking together. It's only happened a couple times in my whole life.
Right. Yeah. But and so when that's not the case. Oh, you have to get yourself there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
we were talking about that. Mm-hmm. And so maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just a drum thing where I've never because if now that you mention it, like with that silly rabbit band, it was sort of like that. But I wasn't. But I wasn't. I wasn't sitting down. Like I was able to like just roll around and freak the fuck out, like that. and I don't know. I don't know. It's just interesting. I've never. That's cool. Flow state. All right.
I'm obsessed with it. I mean, it could be fucking all fake. It could be all woo woo. I have no idea. But like, Jonah would talk about it. We did this like nationwide tour with his band. He had this band, Schoolyard Heroes. Yeah. And they would have killer nights, and he would be like, "It was like I wasn't even there, man." He'd get off stage and say that.
Right.
And then I started noticing that, like, anytime I had a good show or there was a good show, it kind of wasn't even my fault. Like, I had just showed up prepared. I'd practice my ass off. I usually practice in the van before we went on stage, too. Yeah. Like, I'd practice my dick off, and then, like, maybe it happens. And when it does, it's, what fucking feeling is that? Have you seen that Pixar movie Soul, that new Disney film?
No.
Dude.
Is it awesome?
I fucking loved it. Yeah, it's about this jazz musician who's like, he's that. Every time he plays, he gets lost. Like, he doesn't even know where he is. So he's kind of like absent-minded.
Right.
So the day after he nails like the biggest audition of his life that will take him from being like a school teacher to a like professional jazz pianist, he dies. And he goes to like infinity, to the spot where he's supposed to go to the next life, but he's not finished because he had just got the gig. He didn't even get to play a show. And he starts trying to escape, and he's exploring that realm we're talking about. It's like the dreamland or flow state. And what happens, it's like this dark, beautiful colored purple, like mountains and valleys. And every once in a while, you'll see a girl pop up like a ghost, like floating. And she'll be doing like Romeo and Juliet, and that's
some sort of artistic endeavor.
Yeah. All of a sudden, a drummer's up there, and he's just like, it shows his body in real life is at the gig, but he's here. Right. So here, and there's this guy that can navigate that. He's like a captain. He has a ship. He's the only one that can like go around, and he happens to be like a homeless dude who like spins signs for like businesses. And he's
spin sign. Oh yeah, like a sign. That's his gig. That's his gig in the real world.
Yeah. I don't want to give away too much of the movie. It's really good.
So
but
gotta watch that. I get it.
I recommend it.
I gotta send that. Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Do you ever like run or do any like really long like hot yoga? I think right. Do you do hot yoga?
Yeah. Hour, and it's an hour. It's not super long.
That's fucking long to me. Jesus Christ.
Well, and it's not hot. It's hotter now, but it's like do they have core power down there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's that.
Okay.
And so it's like it's got some weights and it's got some cardio and it's got the shit. But running, I've gotten to a place where I've definitely gotten that thing where you start feeling like when you're sitting back on your hips and you're sort of in charge of your torso, but your legs are just doing this weird thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like your lower half of your body is just sort of carting around your brain.
Yeah.
I've had that little bit of separation there where it's like, I don't think I could stop my legs from running right now if I asked them to.
For me, it was always driving the van too, like driving the band van. Yeah, because like if you for 8 hours you're fucking driving, listening to music, and you're just that horizon, and it's all your best friends in the back. You don't want to kill them, so trying to be responsible. So you like
keep it rubber side down.
Oh my God, the near-death experiences I've been in vans.
Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah. They don't end.
Just black ice, That's no fun.
Dude, I had a really good friend die that way. The van rolled on him.
We fucking we were going through Montana, and somebody had told the singer, if we make the guitar, somebody told the singer if we make certain time, then you can get out and we go fly fishing or something somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
And so he's trying to make time on the road at night.
Yeah.
In April, and there's all these crosses on the road.
Oh shit!
And then like we come around and it's like nighttime. We're like, no, dude, we're just gonna why don't we just pull over and find the next hotel?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We can. And we come up around a corner, and the back end breaks out. Oof. And then it breaks out again. Oof. And it either happened one more time, or the time after the last time was going to go over the, like, down the side of the, it's like if it goes one more time, we all die.
Yeah.
And somehow we're all just like, take your fucking hands off, stop, don't touch anything. Because he's trying to.
Yeah.
Like, and just from the back of the 15 bed, don't fucking touch anything, get your fucking ass. Scared him away from the wheel, and then it comes to a jerking halt, and we're like, fuck you, that Motel 6 right there. And it's just like, fuck, dude. Do you want to? Do you want to go fishing bad enough to kill all of us? Maybe. I really like fishing.
Yeah, it's like fishing.
Dude, there'll be other fish, I promise. If you fucking live,
Yeah, and it's all like, everyone's got such tight genes too. It's not like circulation. It's like you're not getting enough blood to your brain. Then you're probably hungover. Right. You're definitely hungover if you're out there.
Right. Well, that's funny that the driving thing though, that I could see that. Like you drive for hours and hours and hours and hours. It's like all of a sudden you're like, you start getting that like you can almost see roads are this, but in reality they're this. You're driving up the side of a planet. And you start getting that like, those trees are growing out from the side of a mountain.
Yes.
Not up from whence I came.
Yeah. It's weird spatial awareness. Yeah. It's always been. It was a Zen thing. I'm glad I don't do it anymore. Driving, I don't drive very often anymore. But like, it was always like a Zen type thing for me because I was doing 300 gigs a year there for about 3 years straight.
Yeah.
And I was doing like at least 150 to the 9 years before that. So for like these 3 years, it was like 6-7 days a week, and so you're driving or flying or driving, and so it's just me listening to Bible shit in my car, just driving for 6 hours a fucking day one way, and it's like you actually get it because of the danger, because if you do something stupid, you're gonna fucking die. It kind of like settles some reptilian part of my brain down. I can just parse through things a little bit easier,
I totally agree with that. I think you can, you get a chance to, so I had a car that didn't have a stereo.
Yeah.
And I was driving back and forth between Los Angeles and Seattle.
Okay.
Like, a dozen times that year, just to like, we were recording a record up here, but living down there.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would like leave at like 9 o'clock at night and try to get, like 18 hours. Best ever I did was 16 hours. And like
LA?
Yeah.
That's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah. It was stop 4 times for gas. But you get to that place where it's like, and one time I did it with the windows down the entire way, and it was the middle of the night because it was like scalding hot or whatever. Summer. And you just get that kind of, you get those, I could flow state where it's like, you're thinking, and I would always do the math in my head. That's how I would keep myself awake is like every time a new mile marker, like this far to Sacramento. It's like, okay, well, if I drive this fast for this long, then it'll take me this many, and then I put the pedal down a little further and see if I can beat that time.
Yeah, I you know what I would do? I'd always get exhausted. I would never let anyone else drive, by the way, either, because everyone else in every band was like, I'm sorry, fuck you, you're not driving.
I'd like to let you, but I'm not going to.
Right, I'm exhausted.
right.
I'm exhausted from carrying this band all motherfucking night, and now I got to drive.
well, and I could let you drive, but I would not get a wink of sleep.
Yeah. It's so worse. So it's the worst. I mean, so what I would do when I get exhausted is I'd either roll my fingers up in the window. I'm like, or I would,
really?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of,
Jesus, get a mace.
I've got one of those. I've got a Morning Star. Yeah.
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 Amazing.
I mean, our band always bought the weapons at every Love's, every goddamn, yeah.
Weapon. It's a love weapon.
Yeah. So the other thing I would do is pull off to a rest stop, and you want to find like a guardrail or an unconventional parking spot, like something in front of like a big dumpster. And what you do is you pull off, leave the van running, put it in park, turn on the brake, and just let yourself fall asleep. Just sit in that chair for about 3 minutes, fall asleep, because in about 5 minutes you're going to wake up and think that you fell asleep behind the wheel. And everything's going to be running, and there's going to be something right in front of you.
Holy shit.
And you're going to shit your pants. You're going to be so...
You're going to shit yourself awake?
You get so scared. You got like 4 more hours.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
It works, yeah.
Well, or did you ever like, and then like the guy in the passenger seat, like, ah, and wake him up, like, ah!
Yeah. Oh, everybody. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We had
the scariest catnap ever.
It works though, and it's flat in the middle of the country. There's a lot of time between markets, as they say. Yeah. But my brother, I love him. He's like has always been the coolest human being in any little clique I've ever been around. And I basically bought him a bass and forced him to join this band just because he never played.
That.
Oh yeah.
that was to play the show against us.
Oh yeah, and his first show was at South by Southwest.
Well,
we came back from that tour and played with you guys. Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. And he crushed it. Fucking crushed it.
Yeah, we got that work ethic thing. Yeah. But he was
God was on his side.
He was definitely new to the band. We grew up the same way, out in the woods, homeschooled, right. And so he'd make like a lot of hilarious mistakes, like repeating comedy albums that shouldn't be repeated in the bar really loudly type stuff. Like
what comedy albums shouldn't be repeated?
I can't. Well, I don't want to be. I don't want to put this up. He'll listen to all of these things. I don't want to. Yeah, he's the best. So, but this rad story. We're driving. We played like Oklahoma. I feel like we were playing somewhere in the Midwest, and the next gig was Nebraska, and we had our band van. We had it set up like to be a living room. It was like an L shape. So one of the van seats was along the side of the windows, and then there was the back bench, and then the side had a flat screen TV with an Xbox.
Oh, nice.
Because we toured so much that we just slept in the van, watched movies. So if you weren't driving, you could fuck off all day. It was actually pretty great.
Nice.
So we got about 3.5 hours to the gig. We're going towards Nebraska. I think it's called Knickenbockers, I feel like.
All right.
And my brother's driving. We put on that movie Gladiator. You remember that movie Gladiator?
Are you not entertained, bitches?
Right. And it's like 3.5 hours, 3 hours or whatever. Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix is so perfect in that. Yeah. So.
Who am I now?
Batman?
I'm Gladiator. Or is it this? Is it this? Which one? Is it this? It's this.
Is that one? Yeah.
Tell us your name. I am Maximus Aurelius. Murdered to a fathered child, mother to a fathered son, and I will have my revenge in this life or the next.
There you fucking go. Yeah.
I almost named our son Maximus.
Really?
Maximus. It was gonna be Michael Maximus von Voorhees Redding.
I think that's fucking killer. Yeah. Why not? Why didn't it make the cut?
I had some other input that wasn't as positive.
There you go.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah, there you go. That's polite.
Yeah.
Well, so at the end of this Nebraska story, as we're driving, this movie ends. And we expected to be at the gig, We're like, we should be here by now. And then we play a little bit of Halo. And after about 20, 30 minutes of that, we're like, wow, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's not even a city. So the lead singer looks up and goes, hey, Levi, how long until we get there? and my brother's driving, and by the way, this is the first time we let him drive. He's all pumped. He's like fucking stoked. He's
driving.
like, responsibility, man. I'm a real bass player. I'm driving.
Right.
And he just looks in the mirror with like this pause, just like he didn't know he was just driving.
You guys are supposed to be, I thought you guys were paying attention.
Yeah. So we ended up being like close to or in the Dakotas. He drove
like 5 hours the wrong way.
Dude, he drove
so
120 miles because we had this van souped up.
Yeah.
120 miles an hour for 3 gas ups.
Right.
I'm not joking. We like jumped the curb of the venue where it was a side door coming out onto the street.
Yeah.
Right as we jump on the curb and park in front of a fire hydrant, the door opens and the band before us is loading their drums off stage.
Yeah.
We went from that van just fucking sweaty, fucking freaked out. All of us had to piss to getting on stage and playing. Like it was horrible.
Yeah, that was no fun. That's no fun.
I have some
That's
Bible
hilarious,
stuff
though.
for us.
Let's hear it.
So I was so my birthday's next week, and I've been on this really weird schedule to try to complete all of these 39.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good.
one more.
I'd be because if it was your 40 and I was just finding out about it now, I'd have a bone. I'd have a bone to pick with you.
No, we'll do something next year.
Yeah,
Next
for
year
sure.
will be
Okay.
big. Yeah, this
Yeah.
year's nothing. I'm just gonna smoke weed, but it's gonna be great.
Well, it's something. It's the last one of the 30s. And when we met when you were 8, did you ever think you were going to be fucking 39, let alone 40?
No,
Yeah.
no, I stopped sleeping back then too. I was about
Oh, yeah.
15.
I remember that.
Yeah.
that. You fucking, you wouldn't sleep. You'd be like, oh, I go home and I practice guitar for 8 hours and I get up and start all over again. It's like, I think, it's like that. It's like that blading man who play like that and he don't sleep, he gonna die. When?
Do you know Justin Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's rad, right? Him and Starr came to when Squires, you and me first got in Rock-A-Roki. I think we played the Crocodile one time, and he came to the gig with Starr, and he looked up at me when we got done. He's like, "So, you guys don't use charts up there?" And I was like, "No." And he was like looking at the songbook, and he's like, How many songs are there? And I was like, there's 980. Yeah.
It's like 1,000.
And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, by the time I'm 30, I'll be the best guitar player in Seattle. And by the time I'm 31, I'll be dead.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Neither of them worked out.
Neither came true. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know.
I was, because of this birthday, I've been like, it's actually like that flow state thing we talk about. Burke's always obsessed with it. Like, Burke writes a lot of his songs when he's running. And like Dancing Queen was written while that dude was taking a run.
Yeah.
I feel like, I think Staying Alive was written on a run, and there's this like, so I've been trying to run. I fucked up my knee. I can't run. So I've just been waking up at 4 and I go walk for 10 miles. And so before the sun comes up,
It's probably good for your knee.
It feels better. It feels better.
I think what you mean to say is it hurts less than running.
Yeah, I don't
And
really
there's a difference between hurts less and feels better.
I'm trying to rest. I'm trying to learn how to rest.
I know it's not doesn't come naturally. It's not a default state of yours ever.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't. I didn't own a TV for 9 years.
Right.
There was a 9-year stretch in my 20s that I didn't even have a fucking TV. So,
That's good.
yeah, on this walk, I was listening to this book that's fucking so awesome. It's really interesting, I should say. It's really controversial, but I'm kind of impressed by it.
What
It's
is
called-
it? You just cut out there for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I cut out. That was weird. It's called Zealot. It's by this guy named Reza Aslan.
Okay.
He's a professor of religions. He has a degree in the New Testament. He grew up Muslim, And then he became a Christian when his family moved to America. And now I believe he's back being a Muslim, but it feels like it gives him a pretty good starting point.
Right.
You know, I'm glad he was in the faith for a while. So, like, I think he knows a lot about. So, he reads this passage that I've heard a million times in church, but he like deciphers these two words. He goes back to the original language and implies what they mean, and it changes it totally. So I sparked this up, but I'm gonna read from the Bible real quick.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read the story first, and then we'll just talk about it. Maybe try to unpack something. So this is from Matthew 22:15. Then the Pharisees went out and plotted how they might entangle him in his talk. And they sent to him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are true and teach the way of God in truth. Nor do you care about anyone, for you do not regard the person of men. Tell us, therefore, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, "Why do you test me, you hypocrites? Show me the tax money." So they brought him the denarius, and he said to them, "Whose image and inscription is this?" And they said to him, "Caesar's." And he said to them, "Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." So, kind of an interesting verse. I don't know how you take that just face value, like first hearing it.
First is the that earthly things are your rulers. Earthly things, things that are tangible and like taxes, like money, like property. Those are Caesar's, and spiritual things like your soul and your emotions and your beliefs. Those are God's.
Right, and that's kind of how it was always explained to me in church, right? And it's like,
Right.
Hey, just be a good person, pay taxes, but also pay your tithes to our church and help our community.
Right.
And that's how it's preached forever. Fucking check this out.
Sure.
So, before I read this, I guess, let me set up kind of what's happening before. Did that cut out? You still got me?
I got you.
So, what is happening here is Jesus is really popular. I love all this weed smoke going in front of the camera.
Perfect. Yeah, it's outstanding.
So, Jesus is really popular, and these,
It's more popular than the Beatles.
for real, these Pharisees are the religious elite in Jerusalem that obey and pay and get the people to pay taxes to Rome, which, according to some sects of Judaism, the one Jesus is closely related to, the one Jesus is involved in, that's a sin because God gave them this land and it's theirs. Therefore, they do not have to pay tribute, taxes to anyone but the one God, Jehovah, right?
Right. And so this is happening in Jerusalem,
Yes.
and Rome is Caesar rules all the
Yeah.
lands over to
Yeah.
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 Rome is big.
Rome's very big, and they've
Yeah.
conquered this little area. And actually, I think Herod calls it a hole in the map, a hole in the edge of the map. That's what he called Jerusalem. So
Herod and King Herod is
he's the guy that actually I think settled, like conquered this region for Rome, way before all this happens. Like way before Jesus, like before he's born, like about
before
10
Jesus.
years. Yeah.
But Caesar's around. Like I've always thought of Herod as King Herod.
Yeah, that's it.
So okay, so who was he?
there's-
What?
Well, Herod's who, that's not who we're talking about. There's lots of Herods in the Bible. But this idea right here is
Sorry.
no problem.
Yeah.
This verse is pertaining to Jerusalem at a time when it's occupied by Rome. Rome has control over it.
Right.
And they allow them to keep their cult. They allow them to keep their religion, right? You can worship Jehovah. How about you just give like 2 sacrifices a day for the health of Caesar? How about you? Okay, so you just give us a little bit of money, and you guys get to be whatever you want, do whatever you want. And this is the political and social landscape of Jerusalem at the time, right?
Right. And that was Rome's. That was their default. They weren't trying to change a bunch of people and start a bunch of. They weren't like us. No. They weren't like the United States. Were like, you have to believe in freedom. You don't have to do shit. Just give us some money. We won't fuck with you.
For the most part, yeah.
Generally speaking, I'm paraphrasing. Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully. Yeah, and so the thing is, though, is there's these 2 factions inside the Jewish faith: the Pharisees and Sadducees, who follow Rome, pay tribute, and just keep their ways, and these people that you would call maybe the zealots, right, or like what we would call probably fundamentalists, who say that that's a sin, because why would you be paying tribute to anyone but God, right? And so when these Pharisees come to Jesus, he's really gaining popularity. They're trying to catch him. This is kind of an impossible question, because you're fucking damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
It's gotcha media.
Yeah. So I'm walking on the beach this morning. I'm listening to this audiobook. My mind's being blown. It's fascinating. You know, I'm don't even know what to think about it just yet. And I come across this passage. It goes, give back, apodidomi. I had to practice saying that word like 10 times in the Greek. Give back, apodidomi, to Caesar, the property that belongs to Caesar. The verb apodidomi, often translated as render unto, is actually a compound word. Apo is a preposition that in this case means back again. Didomi is a verb meaning to give. Apodidomi is used specifically when paying someone back property to which he is entitled. The word implies that the person receiving payment is the rightful owner of the thing being paid. In other words, according to Jesus, Caesar is entitled to be given back the denarius coin, that because he deserves tribute, not because he deserves tribute, but because it is his coin. His name and picture are stamped on it. God has nothing to do with it. By extension, God is entitled to be given back the land the Romans have seized for themselves, because it is God's land. The land is mine, says the Lord. Leviticus 25:23. So that's so much more complicated than just like, oh, be a good person. Jesus is essentially a part of this revolutionary party that thinks any unbeliever, any non-Jew should not be allowed in the city, that thinks that any Roman person or tribute should be totally gotten rid of. And by saying this word, he's saying, basically, take your money and go the fuck away, and we're going to go worship our God. Like,
now, when you say Leviticus, is that a separate? When you quote Leviticus, is that separate from the render under Caesar?
Yeah, that's the third book of the Bible. So that would have been what the Jews are.
Right.
That's their mindset. They're reading these verses, and that's what they're thinking. You know.
So, I think that, and I don't know if this is helpful. But I think that we've decided that, first of all, the Bible shouldn't be taken literally.
Air quotes.
Right? It's the Bible. And so each one of these hits, each one of these stories has to be taken separately. It's a separate song, right? Each quote, each story, each whatever however they're spliced up is like a separate work. It's like Freedom Rock. Right, it's like Rock On by Danny, whatever his name is. It's like the China Girl by David Bowie.
Totally.
So when you start taking, when you say render unto Caesar, and then you confirm it with Leviticus, I think we have to stop. I think
No,
we have
no,
to
let-
stop doing that shit.
Well, no, let me help you. So what Reza Aslan is saying there is that the Jews that Jesus would have been talking to, and even Jesus himself, would have believed that because it was a part of their Torah. It was a part of their holy. So there's an actual full party of Jews back in that time called the Zealots that believed this.
Right.
They were also called the Bandits.
Right, which is great.
The Sakai is what they were also called, and they were dagger men. They'd kill people. So what he's using is this is the political climate. This is the beliefs of the individuals that were at this event, where Jesus is saying, "Give back to us our land and take your money and leave."
Right. We don't need your money, and you don't need our land.
Yeah. And so Jesus wasn't like saying, hey, let's all be kind and pay to the government. Jesus was saying, get the fuck out of Jerusalem and we're going to go worship our God. It's
Right.
more of, and that, they kill him shortly after this. That's kind of a declaration of war, because he wants to overthrow Rome. So they crucify him, right?
Right.
So,
and he definitely that's his MO as he's going for the overthrow. Like he's trying to, like does he? Is that his? Is that where he's? Is that what he's after?
this is such a cool. I love your question so much. So, like, here's the thing we're gonna learn as we keep getting deeper and deeper into these verses and stuff. There's a lot of different versions of Jesus.
Right.
So if you're thinking about the historical Jesus being, like, let's say, what were the people from Galilee, from Nazareth specifically, like? What did they believe in? Who did they worship? Because Jesus was from there. And so you could probably, there's so little about him in history. There's so little about him outside of the Gospels, which, the Bible. It's hard to put a picture of who he actually was, right? So we know that everyone from this community were incredibly poor. We know that they would only have been able to work on the very rich elite Jewish the Pharisees' homes, Sadducees' homes. So those people, they believe, are bastardizing their own faith, right? Because they're making money from Rome by disobeying God. So it arises this entire movement of humans called zealots. It's kind of fascinating. So, but if you look at Jesus of the Bible, a lot of the stories that are about him, a lot of the sermons he gives, they're fucking rad, and they're just about love and giving, and so it kind of depends on what verses about Jesus you're reading and thinking are real.
Well, but you also have, and you've spent so much time. Like, what's your takeaway? Like, do you feel like his end game was to overthrow Caesar, or was it always to sacrifice himself and
100%.
become? Yeah.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Yeah,
No,
I think it was.
Which one?
He's the Messiah. He was coming to overthrow. He was coming to make Judaism perfect. He was coming to free the Jews from any tyranny, and they were going to live as one nation under God, worshiping God and living in the way they thought. That's what he came to do.
Does that necessarily is that literal? Like literally free, or is it spiritually free?
Well, so the Jews at the time, if they were, they had these old writings that became the Old Testament, so they'd read them all the time. So they were trying to figure out what this meant, and they were trying to figure out what was going to happen. The Messiah that is shown in the Old Testament is a person of grandeur, is kind of like to some Jews, he would have been like a conquering king. To some Jews, he would have been like Moses. He would have been a perfect prophet of the God. To some Jews, he'd be all of that, But nowhere in those scriptures does it say he was poor and going to die. There's no single.
There's no spoiler. No spoiler in the Old Testament.
No.
Right.
No.
And so, go ahead.
Okay, so my opinion is what happens is people don't realize this, but Jesus does, he was a real human who did a bunch of magical shit, and you see him die, and you see about 35 years after he dies, there's all these churches to him that have sprung up. In his death, the people that were around him kept talking about him, kept spreading this news. And there's churches everywhere. There's people that meet and read aloud, because most people in all these communities are illiterate, right? Someone would read aloud one of these letters or one of these stories or one of these teachings of Jesus. That's because the Jewish temple gets destroyed. That's because there's this guy named Hezekiah, the bandit chief, that comes way after Jesus, and he actually succeeds at what Jesus was trying to do. He conquers Jerusalem, and for about 4 years, Jews live in Jerusalem, not paying any tribute to Caesar, as one nation under God. Obviously, before, I think it was Titus Vermilius, I think Titus shows up and, starves them out.
The Caesar, the Caesar at the time.
And he was lower than that. I think this was like a test for him, I believe, like Caesar. It took him a while to get there. But so what happens if you think about that? So Jesus' religion, a Jew's religion, is all based around the temple. The temple is where God lives. You meet with him there. You pay money there. You sacrifice lambs there. Your forgiveness of your sins is there. Your community is there, That temple is burned to the ground and completely destroyed. They took all of the showbread tables. They took all of the altars. They took all of the candlesticks. They took everything because they weren't just conquering this little area called Jerusalem. They were conquering Jehovah. Rome was like, you guys fucked up. We were being nice. Now we're killing your God. And they did, right? That's when Christianity comes about. So now all of a sudden, Jesus isn't this like Jewish, I kind of always see him as like the rebels in fucking Star Wars. He's not this Jewish rebel who's going to enact what life should be like here on earth, like how we should be living here. He's not this at all. He's this savior that was always supposed to die. They attach it to these things that can't really be, argued. You see the faith starts spreading through there. This guy named Paul, who's like super rich, who speaks Greek, takes all these Aramaic stories, translates them, and starts telling everyone how you see it splinter off into Catholicism. So Christianity, or this guy Jesus, his message in his life was hijacked by other people, and now has been spread to usually just control people, unfortunately.
Right.
Not free them, definitely. God, this wheat's good. Sorry if I lost it there in the middle.
The 35 years, did our first session of that make it?
Yeah. It's only audio though. It's going to be the first one that goes up. I'm going to put up that one and the first video one.
Okay. So we don't need to, because we've talked about that.
I think we have to talk about everything all the time because who knows
well then,
who listens to what.
So you were telling me, and I just thought it was one of the most interesting things I'd heard is that the other reason the 35 years, other than Hezekiah, was that what were Jesus's last words as he's arising into heaven?
I should find that. I right now I might not be able to find it, but there's in multiple gospels the phrase is, "Assuredly I say to you, not one of you standing here will pass away before you see the Son of Man coming in his glory," aka him coming back and conquering the entire world for Jerusalem so they can live under one God.
So he's like, you guys hang out for a minute. I'm going to go hang out with GD.
Yeah.
And then I'll be back and we'll take care of this Caesar fella.
Yeah.
Right? So they're waiting 35 years, and is it that people why do they finally just kind of I guess he's not coming back?
I don't know. Nero happens in that time too.
Oh, okay. So they're Nero, the people who were the Caesar who was being patient died, and the crazy one took power. And the Christians, they realized, so they end up being and we said this, Jesus was the first deadbeat dad.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he went out to get some smokes.
Be right back.
Yeah, wait right here. Here's a candy bar. Now hold on. I'll be right back.
They might light you on fire to illuminate their gardens at night. Don't worry, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. Yeah. And so, but if he wasn't the original deadbeat dad, I guess sort of God was, as the impregnator of Mary, leaving her to be a single mother.
I mean,
so one of those two, they're the trilogy. They're the
that's that fucking
the bifecta.
Isn't there that line in Fight Club where it's like, if we're God's unwanted children, so be it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because life's fucking rad and life's amazing. And yes, there's evil and there's horrible, but like there's so many beautiful things here. Like I know, again, my family would consider me a Satanist, but like I don't know what I call it. I don't know if I call it God. I don't think it looks like a dude. I'd say that, you know. But
well,
like
I also like the last Aliens.
With the Prometheus?
Progeny, what is it?
Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Yeah.
Where with the engineers.
The super
Yes.
species? Yes.
Yeah. And I love that they were gonna shoot the ship full of aliens to the Earth because they didn't like what they'd done.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh no, this place is fucked. We fucked that one all up." And I totally like. Well, we always get back here, Leif. We fucked this whole fucking ride up.
But we can unfuck it.
I don't believe that's true.
Yeah,
I think it's too low. I
I
think the people who have the money are too embedded. I think how far we've gotten off the path is too far away, and they'll never, I don't know.
Why is it too like I don't have many bad things to say about shit. Dude, it's so fucking humid down here. But like, why is if you have all the fucking money, you always buy the stupidest fucking cowboy hats? Like, did you see that picture of Jeff Bezos?
I didn't, because I didn't watch. I didn't watch any of that shit.
Oh, Jesus. I'm not even, to be honest, I use Amazon every day. So I love this shit. So,
More than once a day.
Yeah.
It's like that. And that's why he's got 85. I'm sorry, my exaggeration is not even high enough for how many billions of dollars he has. Yeah, it's when you can't even exaggerate someone's wealth properly. Yeah. I think it's time to not a monopoly though. Definitely not a monopoly.
Well, I know I'm fucking baked out of my mind, but I kind of think there's this like what I see, and this is, I'm not going to go deep into this shit, but I feel like. I feel like Graham Hancock says this, like a species of amnesia, like we're a species that forgot. Like I feel like a long time ago there was all of our religions were psychedelically based. They were led by women, and I feel like there was like this balance that got lost through alcohol. Even though I love drinking, I love alcohol.
It's delicious.
It's amazing.
And boy, am I thirsty.
But it is a very ego. Driven, like when you drink, you're the funniest person ever. If you were to stay sober, you'd realize that you're just really loud and a little bit too obnoxious.
Yeah.
But
like hanging out with drunk people is unbearable.
Rough, unbearable. Yeah, but now when you're stoned or when you like take a mushroom, you like dissolve. There's like, there's nothing, there's no ego left.
Yeah, and you get smaller.
Right. Yeah. And it like I feel like the psychedelic revolution, I'm holding out hope for it because people are realizing it doesn't make you a fucking loser. They're realizing very successful and wealthy people sometimes engage in this. And I'm not saying it's for everyone, and I'm not saying it's the cure.
No, it is for everybody. And you should say it's for everybody. Everybody should try it once. But
I do.
I just don't even think, I think that it's only being allowed because they can control it now. And they've done enough brainwashing that by the time there's no hope for us. I hold out I don't say that lightly because we have kids.
Yeah.
And maybe our kids will get it right. But I thought that we would get it right. And our parents' generation was fucked. And here we are. I'm fucking 53 and the dumbest guy ever got elected, You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I didn't expect, I thought we'd be like Like even Bezos or any, like, I don't know, even like Rand Paul would have been better than Trump. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to make it political because it's not political, but it's like I thought that we'd be on a better path. And I guess my point is that if the scout leader is a jagoff
Yeah.
and not a good person necessarily, and is business minded, then
Fuck.
then we're you know.
Well, I try. So we'll touch on a lot of stuff because who's going to listen to every episode? Come on, But I grew up so conspiratorial. Like my family's so conspiracy theory driven, and it's so much fun. Like
It's so fun.
It's so fun. Art Bell's so fun.
Yeah.
Art, and like, but I want to accomplish anything I want to fucking get done in my day. I can't think like that. Just waste all this time, right? So my dad,
Because everything's conspiracy.
my dad hates the Clintons, hates them, and he's been telling me for like at least 10 years that Clinton is a pedophile that flies on a plane to a private island with this rich guy that compromises everyone. And literally, like when that shit hit the news, I called him.
Hey, Dad. First of all, great one.
Dude, he like was just eating cereal. You can imagine. I call him, "Hey, buddy," just chewing. And he's like, I'm like, so I'm just reading my news feed, and I'm reading about this guy Jeffrey Epstein, and he's like, "Yep." Just like chewing away, just in all that confidence, like in all that correctness,
right?
And like, regardless of if you like Biden or don't, or like Trump or don't, like that is the weirdest thing to me, that all that Jeffrey Epstein shit is real and happened, and that's that it like breaks my brain about logic in the 2021s.
Well, and so And if you unpack that at all, you watched any of the stuff as I did
the Netflix one.
Yeah. So the theories about like him being. Did you watch the was it Lex Friedman who had one of the Weinsteins on there? Eric.
I didn't, but I should. I love Lex Friedman. He's so fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, so Brett the teacher or the Eric? Is Eric the older brother?
I'm not sure.
The Weinsteins.
I've heard their names. I don't know much. I've seen them on Bill Maher.
Right. Well, the older brother met Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh shit!
And was like, that's someone pretending to be what he is, like, and and.
So he knew he was nefarious, like from the drop.
He was a guy. Well, supposedly this, maybe he was a guy who was put up by some government, maybe the Israel government, where he's just a he's like a honey trap, where he's this guy and he gets all these people in compromising positions and take pictures of them, like the picture of Prince Andrew.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah, so like that sort of thing, like get dirt on everyone, and then use it to advance your agenda.
Fuck. The feudal system never went away.
Did you watch the Prince Andrew interview where he addresses that shit?
No, if it was in that, no.
Dude, if you haven't watched it, it was right after that Prince Andrew had all of his royal duties taken away because he just ate a bag of dicks on it. He was like, dude, you gotta watch. He starts sweating. It's like Albert Brooks when he finally gets the gig on broadcast news. Just like flop sweat and just the fucking
wow, guilt. The manifestation of guilt.
Just guilt and evasion. Just like no, probably not. Maybe probably not, but I don't know. Maybe no. I can't. I'm not gonna say no. I don't. It's like Pinocchio. Like I don't know where he isn't. It's just like it's the yeah. So I don't know how we got all the way to Jeffrey Epstein.
What are you talking about? We were talking about how crazy it was that people elected Donald Trump and how none of this is real. And we're too fucked. But see, I know. Check this out. I can't remember. This is good. I'm gonna get barbecued for this one.
Perfect.
But listen to this stoner who sometimes listens to too much Neil deGrasse Tyson while he's driving. But I feel like I heard this at one point that the degree difference, like the amount of matter versus antimatter in the universe, is like 0.0000000000000, like 100 zeros, billion zeros, 1. There's that much more matter than there is antimatter. And like that Henry Rollins quote that I tried to live by, which is a little love ruins a lot of hate. That amount of matter in the universe created spin, which creates gravity, which creates mass, which creates everything that we now are a part of. It's just a little bit more good than bad. And I see that in all human beings. Like people, I live in Santa fucking Monica, and when the riots happened down here, you know what no one reported on? Is the thousands of fucking people that cleaned everything up without saying a word.
Right.
Every race, they were so much more attractive than everyone. I tell everyone I had no idea how short and unattractive I was till I moved to LA. Like everyone's so beautiful. They weren't every race. They were out there with dustpans. They were out there with brooms, and they didn't give a fuck. They cleaned everything. They were scraping graffiti off buildings and businesses that weren't theirs. Right. People are really good, actually.
I think you're right. For the most part, they are. I think that you can have. It's like the Republican Party. They have an unbalanced minority.
Yeah,
okay. Like they don't have to have they don't have as many people, but they've jerry-rigged the system so that they can win. And that's the same thing with matter, antimatter. There's like you have good and you have evil, but the evil is more aggressively evil, and the good is passively good.
See, but the psychedelic revolution starts knocking out egos everywhere, and that curtails all this fucking primal, like bonobo bullshit that we're going through.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Boy, nobody wants it more than me. But I'd also like to be rich, though.
Dude, what are you talking about? You're rich with experiences.
Right. I'd like to sell off some of my emotional
NFTs?
wealth. My emotional wealth. Cut off a little piece of pie and cash that in, and then for kind of like an emotional 401k, so I could find. Well, you know what we're doing right now? Right now, we are trying to monetize our emotional intelligence.
Well, you know what's weird? So here, you want to get deep? I'm super stoned.
Bring it.
I was like, growing up was really hard, and not to give too much about my family because they're amazing. I love them, but my parents didn't have the best relationship. They fought a lot. It was a lot, and the worst thing that could have ever happened was my dad would leave, because I grew up so narrow-minded, only in this Bible, and there's all these verses about divorce and how that person goes to hell. So if my mom and dad fought so much that if they got divorced, they're both going to hell,
Right.
Like, so.
And that's a real-time worry for you as a kid.
Well, it's a real verse in the Bible. You can't divorce anyone. If you divorce someone, even the person you now are with is now going to hell. They're guilty of your adultery as well. So
as a kid, you're literally thinking, "Oh my God, my parents are going to go to hell."
Oh, I pray hours a night on my knees for everyone I know to go to heaven.
Yeah,
it's a ritual.
Yeah,
you're very. When you hear about hell as a 6-year-old,
yeah,
what is you? I don't want Barney Lund to go to hell. He's my best friend right now.
Good guy. He just kicks dogs.
I forgot. So my parents. So
yeah.
So I go on this whole this crazy thing happens where my dad actually ends. My mom and dad get divorced. It happens on my 18th birthday. And
on your birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I've hated my birthday ever since. Well, now I like it.
Shit.
Kate made it right. I love all this being said, these are just hard years of life, and now I have great relationships with both my parents, which is weird. But and I forgot why we were getting on this. You asked about.
I don't know. You were talking about how hard it was when your parents they'd fight a lot and go into hell.
Divorce, going to hell. Right.
Oh, it was the worst when your dad would leave.
Well, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened in my mind. And then it happened.
Yeah.
Right? And then you know what's weird is you keep living, and I realize how fucking awesome my dad is, actually. And how much was going on in his life and the reality of the entire situation. Fuck, I am so stoned. I feel like I might have to edit this out because I don't know if I'm talking about my fucking parents' life to the interweb.
Yeah. Well, we can pivot and just say that like it is super interesting because I remember you. I mean, and this is, I think it's well we can decide, but I just want to finish with that put a pin in that with the. I remember when I met you, and you were only, a few years older than your 18th birthday, and you had one opinion of your upbringing, and then as our friendship and life progressed, I always assumed you would talk about your dad and hanging out with him, and I sort of I'd never, I'm kind of I don't know what I'm saying, but your relationship progressed and you got to the point where where you are now, where you're like, oh no, these people are great people, and now you've been divorced one and a half times, and you understand that it's like, if I am going to hell, it's not till I die, and I'm going to live for a long time first, and so let's just be the best person we can and learn from our lessons. But the other thing is that that doesn't define who you are, and it almost is like, well, should I stay in a situation that's unhealthy for everybody, or do I remove myself and try to be a better person? Do I try to get back on the righteous path, or whatever you want to call it? And I think it's awesome. And this is why I think this thing that we're doing works, is because you are so open-minded compared to how you were raised.
Yeah,
you have this enormous wealth of knowledge that you accumulated very early in life. 10,000 hours, doubled, tripled, quadrupled, over and over and over again. And you've come out and gone on and experienced life, and come back to, okay, I still, this is still a really important document in my life, and to be able to revisit it as an experienced adult. That's why this works,
I feel like maybe people
and I'm amazing, but but I can be amazing all day long. But if you're not here, it's just it gets old really quick.
Well, I think the coolest part about the shit is you and I hate small talk. And
right.
it's so, and it's I did, when I first met you, you guys were like the elder statesmen. You guys were like, what's happening, and I was just trying to play a gig at the fucking Central. I was just I couldn't imagine a cooler life ever than playing in a band, and I was obsessed with it. I spent 17 or 20 hours a day. I didn't even know that was abnormal, working at it. And all those green room conversations, there'd always be weird Barbie babes around, and we'd just be so black holes.
Right. Well, and it's
2 hours of
and
totally sober stoned conversations.
Yeah, and what's crazy, and this is another pivot entirely, but I was just talking with my wife about this, and what you just said, 17 to 20 hours, it's that's called, they have a term for that now, and it's called hyper-focusing. And that's something that kids who used to be called Asperger's, now they're just on the spectrum somewhere. That's a very real portion of their challenges. Is hyper-focusing is a good thing, but it's also...
It's not.
Well,
it leads to mania.
Well, if you... yeah. But the thing that... So she was talking to me the other day about how, I have these two sides of me, and one is really giving, one is really open to, almost inflexibly giving sometimes.
Yeah, unrequited.
Yeah, but the other half is like I draw these lines in the sand, and I'm like, go fuck yourself.
What's wrong with that?
Well,
That seems to be balanced.
Well, again, it's like these extremes, though, and I think the extreme unrequited is okay, but I started thinking about the extreme other one is probably one of my defense mechanisms that transitions are hard for people on the spectrum. Some people like the transition, like, okay, in 10 minutes we're going to go from this to this. It's like, and they flip out, right?
Yeah. Do you watch the same TV shows year after year, or movies?
Movies, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me
for
too.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so transition. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just I was just thinking that maybe that's one of my, defense mechanisms is like hard lines in the sand and like go fuck yourself. But it was another way to think about something that's not a not very pleasant or not very positive portion of of myself that I'd like to. It's hard to hear.
Oh, ready in one
but
second.
Once
Pause. Sorry,
okay.
You just cut out
Pausing.
majorly, and I want the audience to be able to hear.
Okay.
So go ahead.
My
Again.
bad. It's hard to hear things that are challenging. Like it's hard to face. It's hard to hear people talk about the things that are hardest for you.
Oh,
but once if you can internalize them and like unpack them,
Yeah.
then it makes them easier. It's like, oh well, that's just it's not a puzzle, and we all love puzzles, right?
For real.
And so it took me a couple of days. I was like, my wife's talking about it. I'm like, fuck you. I don't draw lines in the sand. What about the positive part? Doesn't the positive part fucking outweigh that shit? Fuck you.
Fuck you.
and then like 2 days ago, I was like, hey, I was thinking. And she's like, yeah, well, congratulations. You're fucking welcome.
Well, man, do you remember Heroes, that one season cool TV show, the second season shitty
I don't
TV
know.
show?
I don't know.
Oh, man. Well, it's funny you say this because, objectivity is this weird thing, and it's really hard to get to in your life. I think of life as a video game too much, probably, right? But, like, if you can unlock real objectivity about yourself, where you can look in the mirror and not say something bad about yourself to make yourself feel bad, not say something good about yourself that's not real, but be honest about everything. If you could look at your heart, your actions, and they're all aligned, it's really hard to get to. And it's very incredibly, awfully, tragically uncomfortable. It makes you feel so shitty. Sometimes.
When you're being honest?
Yeah, the first times, yeah.
Oh,
I remember,
yeah.
I'll even call this out. So, like, I was playing in, like...
But wait. How does this do with the Heroes TV show?
Oh, so what happened is I had a lot of embarrassing experiences quickly because I was so fucking homeschooled and knew that, like, I just say shit and the entire bar would laugh and I'd be like, what happened?
Why's that funny?
Yeah. So it's like, and even my name, because I have a weird story with my name. It's not, Norwegians say Leif, but my name is Leif because I'm named after a dude from, I think, Edmonds, actually. I've never told you that story?
Was he a milkman?
No, I'm fucking tragically, I'm perfectly my dad's son. Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Well, my dad's. We'll segue the story because we can clip this shit. We'll go back. But my dad's older brother is fucking awesome. Uncle John is huge. He's a big dude, and he's like the type of dude that can read a book in like 40 minutes. He's like stupid, scary, smart. And so apparently at school when he was 14, his favorite thing was just to embarrass everyone by asking them questions and then making them look stupid, like the teachers. So he got in trouble a lot. So my dad is like he's pretty big too, but he's a little bit shorter than him, and he was always skinny. And he got his ass kicked all the fucking time. He became a wrestler because of it, but he was just getting his ass kicked. He got stuffed in a locker one day, like straight up in front of like girls he liked, got stuffed in a locker. And it was the worst day of his life. And he was walking home, and like, his family was so poor that their clothes were always hand-me-downs, and so like his jeans didn't fit, and I think that's why they were like high water jeans, basically.
Right.
You know, too high, and so he got stuffed in the locker. And this guy was like the quarterback, like attractive, amazing. Everyone loved him. Dude,
where'd your dad grow up?
Linwood.
Okay.
Yeah. So he left this group he was walking with and ran up to my dad and walked him home with his arm around him, and that guy's name was Leif. So I got named after that guy.
The quarterback guy.
Yeah.
And did your dad go to Linwood High?
I think so. Edmonds or Everett? Everett. He went to Everett High.
Everett. Okay.
Yeah. So he lived on the border up there, so he must have been.
Dude, that's my stomping grounds, man.
It's pretty weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so now.
Okay.
That goes back to this spiritual story. I forgot where we were leading the
heroes.
Okay, so objectivity comes from, not having two voices in your head. You have to have one aligned. You can't, so like the old. Well, okay.
No.
Okay.
I agree. It's just like it's so hard to shut them to combine the two.
Yes.
It's either one or the other.
Well,
TikTok,
here's
TikTok.
Well, this is where my upbringing comes in so handily, because you have to basically die all the time and jump off these huge cliffs in your mind and be like right now, I don't know if what I'm saying is real. I'm speaking at the front of my fucking knowledge,
right.
And you know what I'm saying. So it's like maybe that's where it is. But let's go back to heroes. So when I get mad at someone else, if I go, that person's a fucking bitch, or like that person's a pussy. I do this thing because of Bible verses that I think it's I don't think that's them. I think it's me. So if I see something in you, I actually think I have found a weakness in myself and I'm scared of it, and so I consider that a demon. So whether it be like looks or vanity or success or like being divorced or not, like. What will people think? All of these things, like, I dissect them. I look at them and I try to kill the fucking demon and see everything it's been fucking eaten on. Something I heard in a yoga class a little bit ago, and like figure out what the fuck this is about. And this hero's character, one of the superheroes, his superpower, he was a clockmaker. And he could, if he opened your head and looked at your brain, he could then get your power. And so, like, I feel like, so fucking high. That's what I always, like, in my head see, I'm like, oh man, that's an insecurity, Leif. And then I feel like that superhero, like finding that demon and like ripping its head open and like, let's see everything you're thinking about in here, fuckface, like.
Okay.
And like that's what works for me, but I'm also crazy and grew up in the woods, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes they're gonna work, sometimes they're not.
I think that's a long road down to a cul-de-sac there.
In a van down by the river.
That's awesome.
That's because I smoked that joint.
No, yeah, the whole thing. I have one you should smoke. I wish I could get it to you. Yeah, it's those two voices are so hard to conjoin, and it usually seems like you're listening to either one or the other, and it can be really it's super challenging to get them to talk as one,
Yeah, see, it's been a struggle since I was very young. It climaxed in this horrible way in my mid-20s when I, just messed up and did a bunch of horrible shit in my life, unfortunately. But it became from listening to the wrong one of those voices, because if you try and fail, that's a hard thing to deal with. And spiritually speaking, when it comes to trying, like, I don't even know if there's much more effort I could have tried,
Well, and that thing, is it better like you tried? Okay, so if you fail, at least you tried. And that's like, I think that's the way to live. Is like, it's okay to fail. And most of the time you are going to fail, but it makes your you hear these MMA guys talk about it. It's like the ones who haven't failed, the ones who are really impressive are the guys who had their ass handed to them a couple of times and come back and ride and surpass everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira, Dude, like he's the champion of the and that sort of thing. You say that you listen to one of your voices too much. I say that you were super hyper focused on getting away from the life you were living because it was so closed off. So you opened yourself up in this, maybe it was hyper focusing, but whatever. It's like you were going to change how you were living, and you did.
It was well, it wasn't.
It didn't kill you. So, and what does it do if it doesn't kill you? It costs you money. I mean, it makes you stronger.
Yeah. A lot of money. Yeah. So with the two voices thing, do you like which one? How do you decide which one you're going to follow when that pops up? When there's two, when you split inside your brain.
I think that for the most part, the one that I'm listening to daily is the positive one, and the one that I talk to out loud, like. I'm a Pisces, so I've got like the two fish swimming in opposite directions to begin with.
That's great.
And I totally like that totally is a perfect picture of me. And so it's always the positive one is always being talked to by the negative one. Like if I'm talking out loud, it's the negative one. Just like kind of like Uncle Rico. What are you doing, God? Like tries to like. It's like he doesn't mean to be, he means to be a good person. He thinks, but the bad voice is keeps him in check.
Does it get results that you want? Is that why you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, again, I'm the most fortunate person who's ever walked the face of the earth. It's like my life has been an amazing story every fucking second of the way. And so it's like, how much bad shit do I have to say? It's like there are opportunities or pasts that didn't happen that I think about that like may have resulted in massive financial and artistic success. But like look where I'm sitting. It's like look who I'm living with. It's like look who my friends are. You just can't top this. And so it would be, I always think that it would be really, really ungrateful of me to have, I don't have that much negative shit to say to myself because for some reason, I'm still here. My wife loves me. My son loves me. My friends love me and I love them. And I'm taking food on my own. I'm breathing on my own.
Yeah, and to be honest, there's a real good credit that needs to be thrown your way because, like, not many people understand what it's like to be a full-time musician where you pay your bills from gigs.
Hopefully.
It's the weird, right? It's the weird. Usually you make a shit ton of money and then you don't make any money for 3 years. Then you make a shit ton of money. You don't make. It's horrible, but, like, not only is that going on, you're a single dad, too. And I know it, like... It's the hardest fucking thing to keep all that shit together. But you look back over the years, and your kids are smiling and happy, and they know more about a computer than you, and they're better at math than you are, and they're like, and it's like, okay, I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. I fucked up so much. I've fucked up so much in my life. Like it'd be stupid. Like I don't even want to share. It's so stupid.
I watched it. You don't gotta tell me. I saw the whole thing. I wish and I guess I don't know. Like if I had to go back, get on the train. Leif's going out of the station again. It's like if I had to do it again, would I like be more involved? I don't know. It's like I think you have been a pendulum, from your upbringing to where you are now, and it's like you've had to swing. You had to do it. You had to like go out and I gotta marry the girl before I have sex with her. I gotta marry the second one before I have sex again. It's like third time's a charm. It's like, oh, you don't have to marry her before you have sex with her. But like that self-awareness or like learning from your lessons. It's like at least you're not a person and I don't mean at least. It's like you're not a person that doesn't learn their lessons, and that's you're open-minded. That's why we're here. That's why this works, and kind of comes back around to that. Which
that's very nice of you. You keep saying all these kind things. When you grow up in the woods, like alone,
right.
it's really
With God.
it's really cool. Like because you don't know any different. So, for instance, Uno is the fucking funnest thing you can do.
The game?
Have you ever played dodgeball?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
This innocence stays forever. Walking around, having all this time to just think for kids, not being in a classroom, not learning, but like physically doing stuff, like pouring foundations and fixing cars and putting roofs on.
Pouring foundations.
With buckets.
Wow, that sounds like a good time.
Oh, man. We had to. So if I stopped getting spanked because it wouldn't work, because
Right.
I grew up, I had a goatee when I was like 13.
Did you really?
Yeah, dude, I built homes all day since I was like 6. I'll send you pictures.
Yeah.
Like, so like I was bigger than my siblings, faster, and so I forgot where this. Oh yeah, so I stopped getting spanked. So like,
Oh, right.
do you remember this band, Jars of Clay?
I remember the name.
Yeah,
Were they Canadian?
I don't think so, but they were a Christian band, but they had and they were like acoustified rock, and they were playing at the Puyallup Fair, and like I really wanted to go, but my sister and I got in a fight, so it was a big one, a bad one, and we had to do the whole praying thing, and then our house that we bought, this project house, was a 1931 log cabin for the Boy Scouts, and we bought it and we're fixing it up, but it was built on sand on a hill with 2x4s for a foundation. I shit you not. I'll send you pictures. And so we had to dig out the foundation. We had to dig out all the sand that was there, and it took like about 3 years. And so like, I wanted to go see Jars of Clay. Got this huge fight. I don't get spanked. It's like 40 buckets. So I had to take 40 buckets of sand. It's about almost 200 yards to the spot in the river we were putting the sand to build up the riverbank. So it was like.
So you started getting punished. It was like corporal punishment. It was like
labor.
Labor.
And like it was fun as fuck to me because I didn't realize this. But yeah, I would dig we dug. Yeah, we just worked. I worked with my dad all day. I'll send you a picture right after this. Yeah. And I liked it. By the time I was 18, we built 3 homes together.
Yeah.
So he taught me a lot from form to finish, like bottom to top.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what else is really nice is having a house built, and having not doing the work.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool too.
My back's so fucked up. I stretch all the time.
From building a house when you were 9.
Yeah, I actually got my first job. Like I got a paycheck, a check from a tree farm when I was 11. I would work October through January, and so did my sister. She was 12, almost 13 at the time. And my mom got a job from someone at our church who owned a tree farm, and it was this 39-acre Christmas tree farm. And so from the age of 11 to 18, I worked there those months every year, sometimes more. And it was, so and the guy that owned it was Norwegian, so he liked me, but he literally was the dude from Dodgeball, the old guy who like throws shit at them.
Right.
Dude, I've had a electric chainsaw thrown at me by this guy when I was like 13 years old.
Get to work.
Yeah, I didn't know any better. I thought it was rad.
Yeah, well, it was kind of rad. It makes a great story.
That's why I stopped it. It's like, Jesus Christ. Let's get back to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And speaking of which, I got to go.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Yep, that's it. We love you. See you next week.